Anthropomorphic LPS, or Anthro LPS for short, is a phenomenon sweeping the Littlest Pet Shop customizing community. But what exactly are they, and how do you even make them? Well, buckle up, because today we're going to be turning this ordinary G7 Littlest Pet Shop into an anthropomorphic white tiger. Hello, Editing Honey here, putting a quick disclaimer on this video that while I was editing, LPS Cobalt premiered his video making a very similar LPS doll. The designs are completely different, but he did use a body that is made by the same company that I'm using. It is a different body, but they are similar. So I just wanted to say I didn't copy LPS Cobalt, and you should definitely check his video out as well. We just happen to have the same kind of video idea planned for the same time. Hey guys, it's LpsHoney. Like the intro entails, today we're going to be making an anthropomorphic LPS, a current trend that's happening all across the customizing community. They're actually not a new thing though, with anthropomorphic LPS customs being found on sites like Pinterest for years. Only recently they've seen a bit of an uptake in popularity thanks to Instagram and TikTok, with a lot of creators using LOL surprise doll bodies to make anthropomorphic LPS. I for one really wanted to hop on this trend, as so many of these Anthro LPS have been created and they're all so adorable. So when the company Kika Goods asked to work with me again, I knew exactly what video I wanted to do. If you don't know who Kika Goods are, I've done a video with them in the past, painting an LPS inspired by their dolls, but today we're actually combining the dolls and LPS together. So big thank you to Kika Goods for sending me the anthropomorphic animal body we're going to be using in today's custom video. It's the Bonbon Galaxy 1/12 BJD body, BJD standing for ball jointed doll. It comes packaged in this beautiful box with a lot of protective packaging. It also includes a few extra items which I'll go over, as well as some pamphlets, information on the body, and a little birth certificate card which you can use for your doll. If you're interested in the body I'm using in today's custom, you can check out the link in the description down below to the exact product. And if you're interested in any of the products on Kika Goods' website, they have kindly provided me with a discount code LpsHoney10, which you can use at checkout to get 10% off your order. Once again, thank you so much to Kika Goods for supplying the doll body, and also a coupon code for you guys. So let's get into the body and the custom I'm going to be making. Here's our body. It's 1/12 scale, which is a pretty good size for anything LPS, body or accessory related. Here it is next to an LOL surprise doll body. This is what most people have been using for anthropomorphic LPS, so it is quite a bit taller. This doll comes with a stand, which I was really pleasantly surprised by. It comes in 2 pieces and is super easy to assemble, just putting the stand into the base. It does a pretty awesome job at balancing the figure in different dynamic poses. This doll has a lot of points of articulation, making it super poseable. The animalistic details included on it on the paws, legs, hands, of course the included detachable tail, are really cool. Speaking of the tail, this body comes with a bag of replaceable parts and extra goodies. That includes a magnetic resin tail, 2 super cute fluffy ears, some replacement hooks for the joints, 2 small and 2 large, a silicone ring for the neck attachment, and lastly some little replacement magnets for the tail. By the way, attaching the tail is as simple as lining the magnets up. The tail's also on a joint, so completely poseable however you want. So now that we've had a look at the doll and how it works, let's talk about how I'm going to be turning it into an LPS Anthro custom. For this specific design, I went ahead and kind of made up a rough idea using an image of the body and the head I wanted to use. I personally have always been such a big fan of this walkable white tiger LPS, so I decided that would be the kind of head we'll be using. But I don't own the walkable, so instead I'm going to be using this G7 Jaguar. Don't worry, I have a double, but this is going to be the head base for our custom. That head in combination with the body should look like this by the time I'm done. I'm going to be using acrylic paints, Mr. Super Clear varnish to spray on the body and head at the beginning as a base and at the end as a varnish, and also some chalk pastels for shading. First time doing a custom like this, so I am a little nervous, but I'm definitely hopeful and looking forward to creating it. So let's get started. First things first, this Jaguar needs a lick of white paint. Much better. I gave him a pretty good coat. This isn't going to be the final white color we use, but it's a good starting base. Next is the head swap. This is definitely the part I'm the most nervous about, but I believe. First things first, we need to remove this included neck joint off the doll. This is a neck joint specifically included for Nendoroids, which is a type of little like figurine doll. I actually have a collection of quite a few, and it's pretty cool that they even include a compatible neck piece for those dolls, but that's not what we're doing today, so let's take it out. Our head is ready to go. Now it's time to remove the tiger's head. I'm going to be using a hairdryer for this step. You can see my YouTube short here if you want to see the full process on how I remove my LPS heads for head swaps. Successfully been removed. After a lot of wiggling and a bit of cutting, I realized that G7 heads are a lot tougher than G2. So I've been left with a bit of a chasm, but that kind of works in my favor with what I have planned. For this head swap, I wanted to try and preserve the bobble, so I'm stuffing the head with foil. This takes up the space, so we're not just left with an empty chasm inside the head, and instead of gluing the body directly to the LpsHoney plastic, we instead glue it to the foil to still have a bit of mobility inside the head. It's definitely trial and error, but it seems to be a technique that worked. So here's how our doll currently looks, and you might be thinking, honey, you super glued the head to the body, it can't move anymore. Well, that's where you're wrong. The head is still movable because I've glued it to the foil inside the head, not the head itself, meaning it can still bobble, it can still look around and everything, but because it's super glued, it's stable and not just going to fall apart when you're moving it around. Now we have the task of actually painting the pet. And like always, I'll be using Crafty Color acrylic paint for the paint job. Hello, it's Commentary Honey here, letting you know what I'm doing in these clips. So the very first thing I needed to do was match the head color to the body. The head is pure white and the body is an off-white creamy color, so it took me about 3 to 4 coats of off-white to match the head to the body. I also painted a little bit of the body on the chest and shoulders just to kind of flow the paint through a bit better, like it's not just a harsh bang bang between head and body. I wanted them to match. So you can see me building up the layers here, and I really do think it was worth matching the colors, because if I had just left the head this pure white, it would have looked really weird. Once the LPS's head was matching the body, it was time to start on the stripes. I also apologize for my head being in frame a bit here, but for the stripes, I used the same paint, brush, and technique throughout the whole head and body, and that is a black acrylic paint, a small detailing brush, and a kind of method that I really liked when doing the stripes. So the first step is to map out where the stripes are going, which you can see me doing right now. I'm just drawing some rough lines of where I want the stripes to be on the face. I do this for the head, the arms, the legs, and the tail. Once I've got this rough shape mapped out, I actually go in a second time once it's dried and add some small little flicks of paint here and there to make it look a bit more fuzzy, a bit more realistic than just these wavy lines everywhere. And I really recommend this method if you want your LPS to kind of look a bit fuzzier. I also went ahead with this same black acrylic paint and painted the nose, hair fluff on the top of the head, and the ears. Once again, you can see me doing the same method here that I used for the head, and that's just mapping out the lines and then going in a second time to add a bit of that fuzzy effect. You'll get to see it a bit better on the arms because I didn't really record it on the head, and I do apologize for that. But here's just the mapping out, and then here's me adding like the little fuzzy little flick details that just give it that extra something special. I also did paint the paw pads and toe beans. So on the hands, the paw pads are actually molded, so you have kind of like an outline to follow. And on the feet, so are the toe beans, but there aren't any like paw pads on the feet. So I went ahead and did the toe beans, the kind of shape that they naturally are. And then for the paw pads, because there was no outline for me to follow, I decided to just wing it and do some really cute little heart-shaped paw pads. I think it works so nicely, and when I'm painting them they do look a little lumpy, but during the drying process they kind of flatten out and look a lot better. As for the tail, it is a separate piece, like I mentioned before, which I freaking love because I feel like if the tail was permanently attached to the body, it would have been a lot harder for me to get in and do small details and shading. So I'm so happy that you can remove the tail to paint it, which is what I did. And once again, just going in with the stripes, mapping out the areas I want them, and then adding the fluff on after. Legs were no different to any other part of this doll with the stripes. Once again, mapping out, adding fluff, and that was pretty straightforward. I will say that the bottom of the legs on this doll actually have some molded on fur, which is really cool. It really adds to it. But because of that, it actually gave me a bit of a outline that I could follow nicely with the stripes, which was really cool. And I did that for the bottom of the legs, and I think it just worked nicely. I tried to avoid drawing over the lumps of fur and instead just kind of going with the outline, and it just worked out in my favor, I think, at least. I don't know, you guys let me know. So at this point I was loving how this doll pet hybrid was looking, so I decided to start shading. I used a pretty fluffy kind of wide paintbrush for the shading. I feel like it just goes on a lot softer and less harsh when you use a fluffier brush. I used pink chalk pastel. I started on the belly and then also moved to the joints, like the elbows and knees. The reason I decided to shade the joints rather than paint them is because from what I've seen from people online, a lot of them say that the paint will chip and come off and like scratch, and I really didn't want that. So I opted to shade the joints instead of paint them, and I think it worked perfectly. Like, I haven't really seen any of the chalk pastel come off since recording this part of the video, so I was super happy with that. I also shaded the belly because I didn't add any stripes there, and I didn't add any stripes because I thought it would be too much. So I'm happy I shaded the belly, and I also shaded the hands and some on the face, just anywhere where I thought it would really help bring a bit of character to the pet. And I also shaded the butt cheeks as well, just a little bit, because that's where the tail connects, and I thought it would be cute. The last thing I did for this pet was the eyes, and the reason I did it last is so no chalk pastel accidentally got into the colors, because it does fly around a little bit. For the eyes, I decided to paint them blue, 2 different shades, and tried to paint them as close to original LPS eyes as I could. I was very happy with how they turned out, and I did use a dotting tool for the eye shines, which I do for all my customs and really recommend it. To seal the pet, I sprayed it with a matte Mr. Super Clear varnish, and for the eyes, nose, and teeth specifically, I sealed them with a thick layer of glossy Mod Podge. It's watered down and it goes on a lot smoother, and I highly recommend it. And then she was done. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce her. So here she is. I am so happy with how she turned out. As you can see, I managed to put some LPS accessories on her because she can still fit LPS accessories. All the different collars and necklaces still fit her perfectly fine, and she can also wear like glasses, hats, things like that because it is an LPS head. I also managed to get this little fanny pack on her, which I just thought was so adorable. It's not an LPS accessory, but it kind of fits perfectly with the vibe I'm going for. I do have her positioned on her stand just to give her that extra little bit of support while I'm showing you guys everything, but she can still stand without it, even with the LPS head on and everything. Here she is from the back. She's just so freaking pretty. I'm so happy with how the shading turned out and all the little stripes over her body. And here she is from the other side. Now yes, she is still fully articulated. You can move all her arms and legs and everything. That was something that was very important to me because when you're painting dolls, especially with joints, it can be a little scary that the paint's going to chip away and come off. But because we kind of avoided painting the joints specifically, there's no issue with like the paint coming off because the paint is the stripes. I come down here to her legs because I have shaded the knees. When you bend them, there is going to be some white that shows on the joint underneath. It's definitely not like taking away from the pet, but shading this area would cause it to rub and eventually come off. So the kind of smarter decision for me at least was to leave this blank because it still matches the pet and the vibe overall. Also, what do we think of the silver nails? I also made sure to paint the nails on her hands just to give it a little more detail, and they are so freaking tiny, but it was definitely worth it. They stand out a lot better now than just being the off-white color they originally were. Yes, you can still bubble the head around. Also, you guys would have seen me glossing the eyes, nose, and teeth, and they look phenomenal. They dried so smooth. I'm so happy with them. And just like before, you can still detach the tail. It won't take any paint off or anything. There is a bit of shading that I did on her butt where the tail connects, but not where the actual magnet is, so you don't have to worry about that. Let me take her off the stand and take off her accessories so you guys can fully see what the paint job looks like, because I just wanted to dress her up for the reveal. There she is! I'm so happy with how she turned out. I was really worried because I've never done a doll custom like this, you know, with the joints. I've never done an LPS head swap kind of this ambitious before. I've only just head swapped LPS with other LPS mainly, so I was nervous to see how it would go, but I am so pleased with the end result. I'm also super impressed with the durability of the body that Kika Goods sent me. So like I said, if you want to get your own and try to make your own anthropomorphic LPS just like this one, there'll be a link in the description down below, as well as my discount code that you can use. But what do you guys think? I really want to know. And also, what's your opinion on the anthropomorphic LPS trend that has really picked up on the customizing side of LPS? Because it really kind of took me by surprise. All of a sudden, like, everyone was making them and I was like, I need to freaking get in on this, and I loved it. I would love to make more of these. So if that's something you guys are interested in seeing, or maybe even purchasing a custom made one from me, let me know in the comments down below, because it's definitely something I'm interested in pursuing. I'm sorry, but I'm just so super stoked at how she turned out. I can't stop looking at her, and like posing her in all the different poses is so freaking fun. And I'm so happy that the LPS collars still fit her, because again, that was something I was a bit nervous about, like, am I gonna be able to dress her up at all? And I can. Like, that's so amazing. I don't know about y'all, but I really feel like my lighting in my room is not doing this girl justice, so I am going to take her out and get some little montage clips of her in the sun basking in her glory so we can fully see her the way she is meant to be appreciated. I also want to get some shots of her properly sitting, because this isn't really the best angle to appreciate her at. It's me and my tiger legs in the back chilling. But thank you all so much for coming on this journey with me to make my first anthropomorphic custom. I get the hype now, like totally. I understand why so many people have started going into this kind of subculture of LPS customizing, and hopefully we can see some more like this one with like all the different joints and everything, and it's on a much larger scale, but it still works. Once again, thank you to Kiki Goods for sending me the body to make this custom. It was a really great experience, and I'm definitely going to look at getting some more for myself personally to do some more customs. But let's finish on that montage I promised y'all, and if you enjoyed, like always, please don't forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe, and I will see you next time with a new video. Bye guys!